Welcome to the 20th edition of the Times Techies webinar series. My name is Sujit John, and I have with me my colleague Shilpa Fadnis. The two of us will moderate this discussion. 2020 marks the 25th anniversary of Java, the programming language. It's unusual for a programming language to survive for so long and remain so strong even after 25 years. I can think of probably C, C++ from my time is probably the other one. Java is practically everywhere. It's in massive enterprise applications. It powers the Mars rover. Android applications were mostly all written in Java, though now Kotlin has become popular because of Google's backing. Large chunks of software that enable cloud and data engineering are written in Java. An estimated 15 billion devices run Java worldwide. To discuss Java, the career opportunities in Java, and why the language remains so strong, we have two fantastic software professionals today with us, Mala Gupta and Rajmahendra Hegde. Mala and Raj are both what are called Java champions. There are only 3 Java champions in India, and Mala and Raj are 2 of them. A Java champion is a leader and visionary in the Java technology community. Java champions are nominated by members of the Java community and must be unanimously approved by a committee of existing Java champions. Mala also works as a developer advocate with JetBrains, the company that created the programming language Kotlin. She is the founder of ejavaguru.com, a platform for Java programmers aspiring for a quantum jump in career. She has authored multiple books. She's an international speaker at industry conferences. She co-leads Delhi's Java user group, and she drives initiatives of the Women Who Codes Delhi chapter to augment the participation of women in tech. Welcome, Mala.
Thank you, Sujit. Thanks for having me.
Raj currently works for a leading bank in its software engineer group. He has been a Java developer since 2000. He has created and leads 4 user groups, including the Java user groups in Chennai and Hyderabad, the Scala community in Hyderabad. He currently leads the Hyderabad Kotlin community. He has organized many Java events. He became Java champion in 2016. He's a NetBeans Dream Team member. NetBeans is an integrated development environment for Java. Welcome, Raj.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
With that, I'll request Mala. Mala will first make a presentation, and then we'll get into a Q&A. Those who are viewing this can send in questions through the chat box. Shilpa and I will put them to Mala and Raj. Now, can I request Mala to start the presentation?
Sure. Thanks, Sujit. So let me know when you can see my presentation.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, perfect. So hi, everyone. Thanks for joining in this session today. And today I'll talk about how Java has been moving your world for the last 25 years. Yes, Java is 25 years. So today I'll talk about what is it about Java that makes it so special, who is using it and why they are using it, and why should you be bothered about. And the next slide talks about the introduction, which I think Sujit has taken care of already. I just wanted to add one bit to that part. So I'm the first female Asian Java champion. So it's not just India, it's the Asia.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And as Sujit
in the
said,
world, how many Java champions are there?
So we are around 300, I think.
300 Java champions in the world. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And 3 are in India, right?
Yes. We need to increase that count.
Okay.
So as Sujit mentioned, I work closely with developer communities. I co-lead the Delhi Java user group and also Women Who Code Delhi. At Women Who Code Delhi, we also publish Technology Grid, and I lead the publication, and which covers the achievements of a women leader and all the other activities that we have at Women Who Code Delhi. The purpose of this newsletter is to tell the society that career is not a choice for women, it is the norm. And so this would be a quick presentation about Java and the topics that I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to talk about 3 personas who could benefit from the presentation. So this is Pavni, undergrad or a fresh graduate. She looks happy, doesn't she? She doesn't know what is there in the world for her. And these are Shreya and Arav. They are new programmers, new developers are always happy and chirpy. So we are good here too. And this is Joe. Joe is a senior developer, not so happy, a little grumpy and worried. That's okay, we'll take care of the worries as we go through the presentation. So before I talk about Java, I want you, the viewers, to look at programming languages as a means to do any work. The way we talk about the means of transport, when we talk about visiting a city, we don't initially think about the modes of transport that we would be using. We think about the destination and then we take a step backward and think about the best means. So the same thing or judgment would apply to the languages you use when you are kind of working to attain a task. Let's say we talk about, let me just sip a glass, um, sip of water. Yes. Let's talk about going to Goa from Delhi. Bicycle would not be a good option. So there's no problem with either the bicycle or Goa or your intention. It's just that the combination doesn't work so well. So the same thing applies to choosing a language for any task. And I would like all the viewers to keep that in mind when you talk about any language or the task that you want to do. So yes, coming on to Java. So what is Java? Java is a general purpose, platform independent, versatile language. And as Sujit mentioned initially, it has its application in a wide variety of domain. We talk about the enterprise Java application. We talk about distributed secure applications. We talk about mobile applications, client, server, cloud, anything. Java is literally everywhere. And why? Why does that happen? Because we are not talking about Java, the language, we are also talking about JVM, the platform. Because when JVM, which is a Java virtual machine, which can reside on different type of systems that you have, ranging from a mobile phone to a card reader, laptop, sensor, yes, even sensor, server, anything. So if any machine has a JVM installed on it, your Java code can run on it. And the other amazing thing about it, that there are multiple languages which are called languages. So they have their own compiler like Kotlin, Scala, and a lot of other languages. And you can write your code in these languages, use your compilers to compile that code to bytecode, which can run on JVM. And when you do that, wow, you can run all that code in so many devices using so many languages. And we also have Graal VM. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about it, where we talk about compiling the Java code written in multiple languages, including other languages like JavaScript, I think Python as well, which compiles your code to the native system on which you are going to run your application. That really makes the Java code fast. There are already a lot of improvements with the JIT compiler and so many other things. I just can't go into all those topics now. Yes, just in case if you're thinking how many JVMs are running, 51 active JVMs, including the 30 billion cloud-based JVMs. Do you need more statistics? Yes, I do have them. So we have the TOB Programming Community Index, which talks about the top programming languages. I think you are not still convinced. So let's talk about the Red Monk programming language, which again talks about the top programming languages, which is a reputed survey and a point of reference for the industry. I have been talking about the top programming languages, how many JVMs are running. So did I talk about the number of developers worldwide? Yes, there are a lot of Java developers, 9.1 billion. And at the end, bottom of the slide, you would see a link which refers to the source I have taken these images from. So if you are kind of curious to find out where the images or the numbers are coming from, you can refer to those links. Okay, so my internet connection is unstable. Good luck to me. Okay, so now this is good news. for developers who are in India and Asia, we have the largest number of developers, Java developers. Again, you can look at the source and find out the other details. Software developments, and this is the areas that you can work with. As I initially mentioned, you should be seeing the language as a means to do the work. So if you are looking at developing web services, Java is, I should think, should be your go-to language to develop it. If you fintech is at the bottom, that's surprising. Okay, libraries, framework, and a lot of other things. Industries. So finance and fintech is at the top where Java is used, because we are talking about handling large amount of data. We're talking about distributed systems. We're talking about enterprise application where Java has a very strong foothold. And of course, you can see the other industries where Java is used. And let's move on. Yes, so this is kind of interesting because if you talk about the domains or the areas where the Java is number one, is analytics, microservices, and a lot other things, including DevOps, mobile. And it is at the second place if you talk about AI, blockchain, and interestingly, it's at the third position if you talk about IoT. That said, let me show an example. So this is a robotic car which is built by Pravesh. You can see the email at the bottom of the slide. And he built this robotic car all by himself, having the sensors here, actuators, a mobile application written in Java, and he has a backend which gets all the data from this device, uploads it to a website, processes all that information. So we are seeing a combination of Java for IoT, for mobile application, for enterprise application. So I think sky is the limit to what you can do with Java. Now, so this is again one of my favorite. I've been talking about that a lot of developers are working with Java, a lot of enterprise applications are running, but why is it so? And as Sujit mentioned in the beginning, it is not easy for a language to survive 25 years. So the key here is that Java has been evolving all through these years. The evolution has been responsible. It's not a fad that just came in and just went out, had everyone rushed to the language to do things, and then it kind of died away. No, we're talking about sensible and responsible evolution. And we're also talking about Java being relevant to the industry now. As the needs of the businesses changed over the years, Java has adapted itself, and that is the reason why it is still in the game. We talk about it being a mature language, of course. It has 25 years to it. So there we find the right tools which can be used to work with it. We find the right developers with a lot of experience to work with it. We talk about so this is again interesting. So Java came in with the promise of Vora, which is write once and run anywhere. So when the internet was booming in 95, 96, when Java came into the picture, it added life to the static web pages. And those web pages could be run on any browser. Of course, it had a JVM to support it. So it was relevant back then. It is relevant now when we're talking about cloud native applications, when we're talking about creating serverless applications, when we are talking about moving our applications to Docker, and we are using Kubernetes. The relevance is a strong concept and topic, and Java is moving with it. And we talk about the libraries and framework. Because it's a mature language, an old language, we already have a lot of libraries and framework. So Spring is one of the most popular framework if you talk about the creating web applications. Testing tools, you get to see and work a lot of them. JUnit is one of them. IDEs, how can I forget IntelliJ IDEA, because I work with JetBrains, which has created IntelliJ IDEA. And yes, it is one of the most popular IDE, which is used by the JVM developers. And it's free and open source. So there are reasons why people or developers, they start working with Java, and there are reasons why enterprise stick working with Java. When I started working with Java, when I was right out of college, it was free, it was open source, I could use it. And the tools which I needed to develop Java applications, they were readily available. The resources to get started with the knowing how to work with Java, they were readily available. The enterprises, they are still working with Java because, of course, of the adaptation and evolution that I just mentioned. We and a lot of innovation happening in Java. Sun Microsystems, who initially created Java, James Gosling, the creator of Java, was working with Sun Microsystems back when it was released, the first version, but it was taken by Oracle. And but the stewards at Oracle, they are really investing and they are still keeping it a vibrant language. And how can we forget about the community and the people? Because when we talk about organizations, we don't talk about buildings. We talk about the people that we interact with. Because when I would be talking about Times of India, I would be talking about Sujit and not a company. Or so the Java has an amazing, vibrant community. The Java user groups that we have in India, they are amazing. Raj would be talking more about them. And so, yes, so these are the features that really make Java relevant and happening. I would just touch on the release cadence of Java. The first version was released in 95, 96, and we had a difference of around 2 to 3 years between each Java version until Java 8 was released. With Java 8. Okay, so Java 8 was released in March 2014, and Java 9 was released after 3.5 years, which was in September 2017. But the release cadence of Java changed with that. And now we have a new version of Java coming in every 6 months. So now Java 15 was released in September this year. And what does that mean for the language and for the developers? I think it's a win-win situation for everyone, because now the innovation is being handed over or is being shared with the developers much more often. Now the releases are not based on the features, but they are time based. And now the developers get to know about the new features as they are ready. And it's a good thing for the features as well, because they get the spotlight that they deserve. And yes, we have more predictability, new features come to us and we try them out, and we know that we would be getting a new version of Java. And that has really made all the developers out there, oh my God, we have 2 new versions in a year. Oh my God. So earlier the developers were complaining that Java is not moving so much, and now they are complaining Java is moving too fast. Your choice. Yes, so I also want to touch upon the innovations which are so 16. I would not take more than 3 to 4 minutes. So a lot of innovations are happening at work at Oracle. Project Amber talks about adding new language features to Java or updating the existing ones. Project Valhalla would come up with the narrowing the difference that we have between objects and the primitive types, and that would really help speed up how uh, objects are processed in memory. Project Loom, oh my God, this one is going to change how the systems, how the threads work. Because with Project Loom, we would have lightweight threads where individual threads would not be mapped to the system threads. And we are really going to give a very strong competition to all the new paradigm, or not the new, the other paradigm that we have, which is reactive programming. We can still go and write our code in the regular way using not using the reactive paradigm, and still make our applications response in the timings, which would be as low as a few milliseconds or 1 millisecond. I don't know. You must check out the Project Loom. Project Panama. So I'm sure you are aware of the Canal of Panama, which connects the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean. And what are the benefits? You don't really have to go around South America to go from Atlantic to Pacific. So this is exactly what Project Panama would be doing. It would be able to access the APIs or memory, which not the memory APIs, which is written in other languages. So all the languages out there, you can do all the innovation that you have, and we would be able to use that easily in our Java applications. And Project Laden, this is again, it is making Java applications run really fast on the systems. I mentioned about the Graal VM, which is the Graal virtual machine, which is in works at Oracle and Oracle Labs. And it would compile your code not to the virtual machine, but to the native code, which is kind of really important when we talk about the cloud native applications and to make the speed really fast. So a lot of innovations which are happening. Coming on to the probably the last parts. So I tweeted about the organizations that people work with and how they use Java. Of course, I work with JetBrains, and they are the creators of IntelliJ IDE for JVM developers, which is written in Java, creators of Kotlin, which is a JVM language. And we also have a suite of products which we have created, developed using either Java or Kotlin, and they are deployed to JVM. So we are using Java extensively. JetBrains simply loves Java, and a lot of answers came pouring in. So this is what you get to see. So these are the logos of the companies that is using Java in one or the other way. But I'm more excited about showing you the answers that poured in response to those in that tweet. So people were talking about the different companies that they're working with and how they are using Java. This is by Bruno. He works with Microsoft. He's another Java champion. And it says Microsoft depends heavily on Java. And of course, there were other answers. So Spring, as I mentioned, is by VMware. It uses Java, all Java behind the scenes. So a lot of answers which were pouring in, and they were talking about the different companies that they are working with and how they are using Java. Yes, a lot of them. I could not have all the answers. And the other interesting question which I posted was I work as a Java programmer. I started working as a Java programmer in 2001, and I'm still proud of the application that I created back then. So I asked, is it only me, or are there other developers who are still proud of the work that they do, that they did? Oh my God. You can see we had a lot of answers, 154 answers. I'm just coding a few of them. And the purpose of coding all these answers is that people, developers, they love working with Java, and they are still proud of the applications that they created probably 20 years back. And if you can be proud of applications or code that you wrote 20 years back, I'm sure it has something. So now I would request Raj to talk a little bit about the Java user groups.
Thank you, Mala. This is my thing where I have spent almost a decade of my life where I started almost as Sujit was saying, I started 4 user groups, which is all started from one thing that let me start learn somehow by creating a group. So, but it was didn't happen because when you become a lead of a group, you are owning the whole community itself that I don't know, but after starting it, it was the greatest fun ever. So Mala was talking.
Louder, Raj, a little louder.
Mala was talking about. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Mala was talking about the Java as a language and as well as Java as a platform. But Java do have a two more dimension, which we call it as a Java as an ecosystem and also as a Java as a community. So that is what I'm going to talk about. Whether you are going to join a institute and you are going to learn Java or not, or whether you go and sit on the YouTube and you are going to do some course or not. Trust me, the one and the only best place you can earn something more is a community, because what Java community is one of the strongest thing. You see it in the whole Java, that you as an individual be part of the whole Java journey. Because you may know that what is a JCP is, where the Java have been root for every version, and now the Java EE became a Jakarta EE, and it is part of Eclipse, and that also opened a big dimension of many people can started to contribute openly. These things as an individual you can't do it as such. If you have know that how and better, you may do it. But today in India, if you say as an example, Java user community is one of the best place that you can go and do so many things. Not only weekly or monthly meetings you are going to join, but you are going to be part of the Java community itself as a global. So that is a
Right.
one thing what I mainly wanted to mention. So if you anywhere you are listening to this, all you have to do is open your Google or whatever the search engine, type a Java user group, your city name and your country. You are going to get at least one user group in your location. So feel free to join them. Try to disturb the lead, because leads are waiting for people to come and ask what the next session we can do and what is a contribution you can do. So join them and you can get a very good and a lot of things that you can learn from it. Thank you, Sudhir.
Okay,
Uh,
great.
Sujit, I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
have
sure, sure, Bala.
one topic to cover.
Okay.
so, so I want to talk about the Java certification. So I had written a couple of books on Java certifications, and I had reason to write the books and the reason to promote Java certification, because I strongly believe that writing Java certification can really take your Java skills to the next level. Um, and the other good news is that Oracle introduced a new exam this month, starting October, where you just have to write one exam to earn the Java certifications, and yes, only 50 questions. And this is in contrast with the two certification exam that we had earlier, and each of them had 90 questions each. So it was difficult to get those Java certifications. But now, yes, you are in for a treat. So please go and take a look. And why I think Java certifications are helpful, because they try to connect the Java topics that we have, because it's a jungle out there. You can see so many topics out there. And if you are a new developer, how do you know which topics are the crucial ones that you should be knowing, and which are probably the ones that you can learn on the way when you are working with your applications or when you need them? So Java certifications, they help you not only to identify those topics, you can also follow a path along that, you know, that yes, you have to let's say talk about collection first, and then you can talk about streams. So certifications, they help you identify the topics that are crucial. They chalk out a path, and yes, you are good to go. You are you would be as good as a surgeon. So this is one of my favorite example. So I always, when I talk about the certification, I ask the audience, would you like to go for a surgery from a surgeon who is, yes, a certified doctor, but doesn't has any experience with the tools that he would be using for the surgery? Yes, no, maybe. No. I can see everyone nodding no.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so, so the same thing applies to the Java certifications as well. If we know our tools, the language better up to a certain level, it would be good for the projects or the patients that we're working on, and they would not kind of be harmed a lot, or would not be in for a lot of loss. And the loss could be in terms of the time that you invest on a project, the loss for the revenue for the company. So a lot of things are taken care of by writing the certifications. And I have been interviewing a lot of people across the globe on the benefits of certification, and all of them have been super happy about writing the certification. Some had their first job due to Java certification, some got a pay rise, and some were really confident. So, this is Steve. So, Steve is one of the co leaders at Daily Jug. Um, and they all were talking about how the Java certifications really helped in their career. And the books that I mentioned that I write, what is the USP of my book? Because I had written the exam after I started working. So it was quite difficult for me to kind of go back home and study about an exam. I know we never want to go back and study for exams per se. So I try to make the preparation fun in my book. I use a lot of images like this, hand-drawn images, and otherwise, so that it kind of makes it fun for you to read and prepare for the exam, and that really makes you read the book and write the exam. So some examples which I use in my books, that should help you kind of
Great.
write.
Thanks so much, Raj. Mala, how many certifications are there? Lots of certifications, is it?
So we have multiple certifications. So what I talked about was the programmer certification. You also have a master certification where you talk about. So this is a multiple choice questions where
Uh-huh.
a person answering. How can I stop sharing my screen? Just a moment. This is always difficult because the control just disappeared at the last moment.
Have a look. Just see how you can get this.
Can anyone
There must
else?
be some screen
Oh,
sharing.
yes, I
There.
got it.
Done, done,
Yes,
done, done, done.
I got it. So the exam that I mentioned, it's a multiple choice question where a person has to select from a set of options. There are also the other exams where a developer would have to write in the code and submit that code, and that would be followed by a viva with the a person at Oracle. So there are multiple exams. So this is core Java. There are also exams on enterprise Java. So now Java EE has been handed over to Eclipse Foundation, as Raj mentioned. But we still have a couple of Java Enterprise exam with Oracle. So a lot of exams, and anyone who's interested, they can go and take a look at Oracle's website.
Okay, okay. Uh, we already got several questions from our audience. Shilpa, I'll just ask this first one. I mean, it is something that Raj in our prior conversation also mentioned to me. Maybe you should, a lot of people want to know this. This is a question from Chandrasekhar Giri. I'm a fresher. I'm currently learning Java from one of the institutes in Bangalore. I too want to become a Java champion like Mala and Raj. Being from mechanical engineering department, is it possible?
So Raj, do you
I
want to
think
take
you
that?
said a lot of people want to
Yes.
know this, ask this question to you, I think, yeah?
I yes. To be frank enough to say that many people don't know what is the Java champion is.
Okay, little louder,
So
Raj, little louder.
sorry. To be honest, the thing is, the Java champion is a community recognition. It is not a certificate or anything. So that is, I wanted to make sure. So this is about the contribute, what is the level of contribution you are doing, because contribution cannot be measured. So if you go to Java champion site, they will give you 4 or 5 things, say that you have to contribute to open source, you should be an author of some books, you should do something. So if you do that one and go and say that I am doing it, you may not get it,
Okay.
because it is all about the recognition and thing. How it comes, you can't say, because I got it after 7 or 8 years later, if I'm not wrong. So it
7 or
depends
8 years
on.
from what?
If you see my career, I started in 2000, and 2007 is sorry 2005 to 7 is the time where I was jumping in to see that what is the Java community is, because it is an open source, and see what is the community. That time I was going through the London user group. Brazil user groups and other things. I'm seeing it. Then the vision came to me, why can't I have it? Because freely I can invite the speakers and sit in the back, and I can learn from them. That is what the first time I thought.
Okay.
But after becoming a user group lead, it becomes a big responsibility that you have
Responsibility.
to own it, because
Okay.
behalf of
Yes.
2,000 people you have to drive it, so you can't
Okay.
sit in back and do it. And writing and speaking is not a simple thing. Mala goes and talks in many of the sessions and many of the conferences, which is not that easy to sit and do it. So contribution is more than what you working in a company. And
Really.
no one talks about whether you are certified in Java to become a Java champion, or whether to be a you have handled a big project to become a Java champion. No, you have to contribute to the community. What is the level of community? It is driven by the community members who are the other Java champions will drive it. So I personally see that if you become a contributor, you may get it, but there is no guarantee as such.
Okay.
But it is you be part of the
Okay.
community is
Just
the
a
only
question
thing
there.
which matters.
Do all 300 members around the world have to vote for you, or is a smaller group that votes for you?
No,
How
it
does
is
it
it is a whole community. It is a whole 300 people.
really?
We do have a group where we sit and discuss.
Mm-hmm.
So any of the thing what is happening in the community, what is good, that is what we do. But in the
Okay.
same side, people will see that who is the other people in their cities or other countries where they can be a part of this community, because they were
Okay.
driving. If you see Mala have done so many things in the event and other things, so that triggers someone to see that okay, Mala is the right person to be part of this
Right. Got it.
elite group to be. So it is a recognition comes from someone to see it. So that matters a lot, but you can't fight for it. It is not an
Yeah, I
examination to sit
got
and
it.
do it.
Got it.
You won't get
Yeah.
it.
Well, there are a lot of questions coming in. Shilpa, I'm sure you have
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, questions have started to pour in. This is from Shushrut Nagraj. Should a beginner in Android development choose Java or Kotlin? If
Mhm.
Kotlin is the answer, then should one be proficient in Java before starting Kotlin?
Mhm. This is a big
So,
question. I can understand. I think Google is really pushing Kotlin. So now
Kotlin,
I'm sure there's a lot of confusion on Java versus Kotlin and all.
Kotlin.
right. So, first of all, if you are into Android development, so it's okay to pick up Kotlin because Google has some issues with Oracle and they are not supporting the new versions of Java, which
Okay.
is a shame. I know. So, uh,
Okay.
and the other thing is, you don't really have to know Java to learn to program in Kotlin. They might have similar concepts, but learning in one language is not a prerequisite for working in the other. Knowing one language, sorry.
Okay. Okay. So you can start straight from Kotlin, is what you're saying. Don't even
Yes,
get into Java. You can.
absolutely. Because if the end application that the person is looking at is Android development and
Uh-huh.
then Google is supporting Kotlin as the first or the preferred language.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
makes sense to get started with Kotlin. But
You
don't
don't even have to
forget,
understand JVM and all that.
so
Kotlin
that,
also ultimately runs through JVM, right? If I'm not
right,
mistaken. Yeah.
right. So
Hmm.
JVM is sorry, Kotlin is a JVM language. So that would run on JVM, which is in all Android phones. But of course, as I mentioned, and you can use Kotlin for a lot of other applications as well. You can use it for web applications, for serverless application, and a lot of other applications exactly where Java is used because one, it gets to the JVM, it can do everything which Java does.
Java does. Okay. Raj, you want to quickly add something to that?
Sure. See, the Kotlin is a JVM language, as Mala said, and there are so many. When I was talking about, I said that Java is an ecosystem, so where you have so many JVM languages are there, like Scala, Groovy, Clojure, JRuby, and many other things. So, if you know a Ruby, you can become a Java developer. If you know a Lisp, you can be a Java developer. You no need to worry, because now the Java language became one of the language in the JVM now. Java is not the primary as such you can talk about.
Okay.
The platform matters to us. The platform
Okay.
is a JVM. Whether you write it in Java or whatever, it is going to be converted to your bytecode, and that has become the main thing. So you
Okay.
no need to worry that where are you coming from. It's all about you have to know the class and the hierarchy of class methods and the thing. Only thing you know that as well in your own language, whether it is in Kotlin, Scala, or Ruby, or whatever. In that, if you know, you can use from the core API to Java FX, or even you write it and write your Scala code in Android also. You can, I think you can do it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
don't worry about what JVM language you are doing. It is the same of everything.
Okay. Shilpa?
Yeah, this question is from Kiran Mai. What do you think is the best SDK for Java development?
What do you mean by that? Are we talking about
Yeah,
the
software development
version?
kit. Yeah, yeah.
So there are two things. We could talk about the IDE where we use to write the code, and the other thing would be about the Java version that you're talking about. So now that Java has a 6 months release cadence, so we have different types of releases. One is the short-term release support, and the other one is the long-term support release. So Java 8 was the LTS on which a lot of applications and enterprises they are still on. Java 11 is the latest LTS version, and Java 17 would be the next LTS version. So when I talk about the short-term support and the long-term support, there is no difference in the features or the kind of features that would go in. It is more about how the enterprises are supporting those versions. So I could go to different vendors to support the version I have. And because there's such small gap between a new version, so enterprise are choosing certain versions that they would support for a long time, including Oracle. So the features would be same. So I would say the person that you are talking with, if they are working on enterprise Java, go for Java 11. If your enterprise supports it, otherwise, I don't know, you'll have to fall back to 8. The idea is IntelliJ IDEA is the best. And for please do try out the new features on the new version that are coming in, because you have amazing features which are coming in, like Java 15. We had the ZGC garbage collector, which really helps you to have stop timings between below 10 milliseconds, even for memory which is spans beyond terabytes, which is amazing. So please do try out the newer Java versions as well.
Thanks, man.
Okay, I have this question from Raghu, and I'm sure a lot of people will have this. I myself keep asking this question to people like both of you. With Python, it's a question from Raghu. With Python, Kotlin, Rust, and other programming languages becoming more and more popular, what is the future for programmers specializing in the Java skill set? In some sense, you answered part of the question, but in your presentation, all of that, but still directly, I mean, one can see Python, everybody getting very interested in Python. Many of these surveys on also show how much interest Python holds, Python particularly. But like this person says, Kotlin and Rust are all of them becoming popular. So Java suddenly seems to be like an old language. People say that it's faster to write something in Python than in Java. What?
Sujit, I have a concern here. Yes, I have a concern regarding writing less code and failing.
Really?
Yes, writing less code and failing later. I don't like it. Like you can compare it to, like, if you forget the keys of your home and you're starting from office, and probably midway you get to know that you forgot the keys. You'll have to come back to your office and get the keys again. But what if you just reach the door and you get to know that, oh my God, you forgot the keys, and you can take the keys? So this is how I would compare the static typing and the dynamic typing in dynamic languages, because Java would take care of all the errors during the compilation compilation time. So you don't really have to throw a jigsaw puzzle at Java at runtime. Oh my God, let's see if you can figure out this puzzle. So that would be a lot of time consuming thing for Java to do. So that's one thing which, when any Python programmer tells me that how many lines do you take to write a hello world, I'm not looking at writing a hello world, first of all, for enterprise applications. I'm looking at bigger pictures. And the other thing is Python could be a better language if you talk about ML, because you already have a lot of models which are already trained to do that part. Java is it is starting up to catching up on that front, but of course, if you are in a hurry, Python would be a better choice. And again, languages like R and Rust, they are specialized for certain purposes. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the talk, think of languages as a means to an end. So look at the bigger picture, look at the destination you want to reach at, and then pick the language. So if you are thinking about some task which is better suited to do in R or Rust, go for that. I'm not asking you to choose Java there. And if you talk about Kotlin and Java, so I'm a little biased there because I've been using Java for almost entire my career, and I work with JetBrains, creators of Kotlin.
Exactly. So do you feel conflicted sometimes?
Always, all the time.
Okay.
So, but again, as I said, choose the one that serves the purpose.
Raj, you want to add to that?
I go with the same thing because
Little louder.
there are languages created for a specific thing, because there is no one language suits everything.
Yes.
So that is very much sure about everyone, because if a language suits it, then that is the one, or the language is designed for something, then that is the one. Because if you ask me, I may be exaggerating Java like anything, but still I stick to that. Java is a platform. Finish. It's not
Okay.
just a language.
Language.
If you are writing a Python and you wanted to use Java APIs, use Python into the code, and you can directly start using Java. And say comparing like this will die, that will die. To be honest, if you see it, as you have said in the beginning, it has been almost 25 years, and can I kill a giant on that simple is tough. You may take another a decade or 2 decade to bring some language, but till today, other than startup company where they use JVM language more, but if you see the enterprise level, Java is a, or a .NET, maybe these are the two main things you will see, but in other places you don't see anything else. So in an enterprise level, these are all the only giants you see.
Okay. Okay. Shilpa?
And the next question is from Glory A. What are the prerequisites to apply for Java certifications?
So the certification that I mentioned, there are no prerequisites. A person who wants to write the certification, they just need to be aware about the topics, the format of the exam, what kind of questions they would get. It's like I could compare that to knowing how to drive and giving a driving test. So before you go to give a driving test, you should know how to drive. But knowing the driving test helps as well, because if you know that the instructor would ask you to take a U-turn, that you know that you have to prepare how to take a U-turn. So both the things are important. Know the language well and know how the exam would test you to award you the certification.
Okay. I have this question from Anas Khan. Can you say about Java in latest cybersecurity technologies, IAM, identity and access management, like SailPoint and Okta? Are they Java-based products? Do you know?
No, no comments.
No idea.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okta, I know that's a company. I know a person who's working with the company, but no.
Okay.
Comments.
Okay.
No.
Like the certifications, how much do the certifications in all cost?
The one that I mentioned, it's around 11 to 12,000. I
That
can
was
word
there in the
that.
screen, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Shilpa?
I just had a question from my side, Mala. If you can take us through, you mentioned about Java updates. are much faster in the recent times than it was before. But how does it compare with other languages that send out features more regularly than Java does?
Shilpa, I didn't get your question. Do you mean to say, is that a
Updates.
good thing or a bad
Yeah.
thing?
No, is that yeah? How do you actually see Java compared to other programming languages?
I know a couple of languages which have a similar release cadence, and it really is helping because, as Sujit said, so it has been a concern for a lot of time by a lot of developers that Java is dead. Probably it would be dead this year or the next year or blah blah blah. So that was, of course, the team at Oracle was also seeing this concern, and also because the releases were feature based, a lot of the releases were delayed by a month, even by a year. And that was causing a lot of frustration with the developers and, of course, the people who were working on the features, because the features which were ready, they were kind of punished for being in time, and they were not released because the other main feature it was waiting to be completed. So now we have a time-based release cadence, which is really helping developers to get access to the new features and try out the new features. They can also contribute and have their feedback to Oracle, and Oracle really is looking for the feedback, and they are making a lot of changes to the features depending on the feedback that they receive, because JetBrains also contributes to the JDK, which so Java is developed under OpenJDK, which is, so we have 80% contribution from Oracle, and the other 20% contribution comes from the other companies like Red Hat. We have Azul and a lot of other IBM. We have big players. We have small individual contributors and smaller companies as well. So people are contributing to that. They are providing the feedback. So I think that's a win-win situation for everyone.
Just to add it with Shilpa's question, you have to know one thing: Java is not just a language; it is a specification.
Hmm.
So even a JDK, you can create your own JDK and you can have it your own thing. So it is a specification which you, because it all comes into the one roof called JCP. So that is where people go there and say, this is an idea I have, because it is not Oracle is going to give an idea to you. It is a one place where even JBoss creates so many JSRs, which we call it as specifications. So CDI and things which comes into Java EE, now it is Jakarta EE, it's also brought it from I think JBoss team and other things who creates it. So I say that the core JDK and also the Java EE or all what you're saying is a specification. It's not just a language.
Right.
To add it to that part, so when we talk about specification, we also talk about the implementation of a specification. So specification is just a rule book that you have. So this should be done like this, and the other thing should be done like this. And we need to have an implementation for those specification. So the OpenJDK is the reference implementation for the specification, but a lot of other companies, they create their own implementation. Like we talk about OpenJ9 by IBM. We talk about Azul, which have their own JDK. We have Bellsoft and a lot of other players. They have their JDKs out there for developers to use. And we also have a TCK, which is the Technology Compatibility Kit, which includes the test which that implementation must pass. Because let's say I'm a vendor and I create my own JDK. How does Oracle know that this is the right one to be used by developers? So it has to pass against a set of tests. And once it is certified, it can be termed as a JDK, which is the Java Development Kit. So this is how it works. And depending on the organization, let's say if I talk about IBM, I could have my own JDK, and I could on top of it add more features which are more relevant to my customers or the teams that I work with internally. So this is the reason why companies have their own JDKs. They could also provide more support to it. Of course, they would charge you for that, but there are multiple reasons why you get to hear about different JDKs. We have Open JDK, we have Oracle JDK, IBM, Azul, adopt OpenJDK, which is off to Eclipse now, and loads of them out there.
Welcome to Java.
There's this
No,
question.
actually, what happens little more when I was a developer, the architect will come and say that what is a web app we can develop, and first question we will ask is what is a server you are going to deploy. So because you have almost 5 or 6 major Java EE servers available. If you see in other thing, there will be only one server they will use. But in Java, you have a multiple servers, web application servers are available. They will ask you what server you are going to deploy. So you have the Java is a very big thing. You have to see it.
And going back to the JCP, which Raj mentioned, so JCP is the Java community process where we have people coming in from the community, and they help with a lot of initiatives and the work that is being going on at Oracle. And now recently, we also started with the Java in Education initiative, where we are talking about how to help connect industry with the academia. And we are also trying to support the JUG leaders by creating more resources for them where they can use and they can get started with either presenting themselves, or they could use that to probably invite other speakers, or any way that can help academia and industry get a bit closer, because we know that that's a gap that we can never bridge, and we would also always need resources for it, because industry is moving at a pace that academia can never catch up with. So
Oh, really?
Java in education is a good initiative. If any of the JUG leaders or members is listening, and if they want to work with it, they can always reach out to me and I'll connect
These are
them.
for academic institutions not to work with you, is it?
Sorry, come again, Sujit?
Who works with the Java Education Initiative? The academic institutions?
So this is an initiative to help the JUG leaders reach out to their local educational institutions.
Oh,
And
okay. Got it.
so we are providing or creating a set of resources which could be given out to the JUG leaders or the JUG
Okay.
members, and
Okay.
then they can do the needful. Of course, we are also roping in other institutions. We're trying to help institutions come to the JUG leaders. So a lot of work is going on in that sphere.
Okay. 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 Uh, this question from Rajneesh. For a beginner, is Java free above its 8.0 version? And is Java 15 free for students?
So Java 8, so Java 15, and all the versions of OpenJDK are free for anyone to use. So when we talk about the paid subscription, we are talking about the support that you need from the person, the company that created it, but
Okay.
OpenJDK is free for use for. So as a student, all Java versions from Oracle, they are free for you to use. It's only
Okay.
when you go to production that you have to take care of the VMs that are running Java, and how then you would have to pay for it. So as a student, absolutely use any version.
Okay. 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 Any questions, Shilpa?
Yes, this question is from Ibrahim. Is there a paradigm shift underway in programming? We hear concepts like functional programming and expressive programming. When we learned Java, first thing we heard is the object-oriented programming.
So Java works with multiple paradigms. So we talk about procedural, object-oriented. There are capabilities to program in a functional style and the reactive style too. So Java has a lot of APIs to work in all those programming paradigms. So I could work in a functional style using Java. I could work in a reactive style using Java. So if you only heard about the object-oriented style, probably you are using Java 7 or earlier version. So you really need to step up.
Okay.
Okay. Raj, if somebody wants to use and get in touch with the user group and all that for advice and all that, how easy is it? How do they do it?
So that is what I told, right? Just search it in the group. See that you are in your city. Do you have a user group? So just go to a Google and say Java user group in your city name. So
Uh-huh.
there should be a user group. trust me, in the major cities in India, you already have Java user groups.
Okay. And
So
how
no
do they
need
get in?
to
How do they get in touch with you? Email or how?
see. Many jugs have their own way of doing. Some people have Google Group as their platform. Some people have Meetup as their platform.
Uh-huh.
So you have to join that mailing list first.
Okay.
So because all are run by the individuals, not by any company or anything. So they have their own way. We don't know, because when I was running the Chennai Java user group, I had Google group as a platform. So I will tell
Okay.
them to join that one. Whether you're talking to me, you first join there, because that is where we message all the events whatever we are doing, or a normal question forum you can ask. So first you have to identify what is the main platform. The first thing what you can do is a meetup. First go to the meetup and search in your own city whether you have a Java user group. If you have a Java user group,
Did
or JVM related user groups also, you can go and join. Because if you see in Kotlin Hyderabad, we do have a Java also. So you can join a JVM language user group as well and ask them. Or if you don't have a user group there, they may be helping you to start. It's a open thing. It's not that you have to get a permission from someone to start it. If you have 4 people in your
okay.
thing, you can start a user group.
Okay. Okay. There are a couple of more questions. Hope we are already at 7 o'clock, but can we extend for a few more minutes?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Shilpa, I have this question from Rahul Pal. How long does it take to clear Java certification exams?
Okay, so that's for me.
Okay.
so, so if you are talking about, so that would also depend on the level of experience you have. Let's assume that you know nothing about Java. Then I would say that you give yourself at least 6 months, because you will have to start learning to program in Java. Then you have to write your certification exam. If you already have experience with Java, I would say anywhere close to 1 to 3 months would be a good enough time, because
Okay.
I had people coming in where they said they just did the certification preparation in 2 weeks, and some were struggling for 6 months. So it
Okay.
really depends on the individuals as well.
Shilpa?
I have no questions yet.
Okay. This
Um,
device that this Pravesh that you showed, I mean, you do use IoT and all that. So what would you say? I mean, is Java reaching those levels where even IoT and all that as simple do with Java as with, I don't know what languages are popular for IoT at the moment. Um,
For IoT, Raj, I don't know. So I can't
okay.
comment
But you're
about.
saying Java is good enough to do these things, is what you're saying?
Yes, yes, because the reason why I had that example was, even when we are talking about Java might not be the best language for a certain purpose, that doesn't really makes it the worst language. So people can work in that language if they want to, because I guess Pravesh wanted to program the robotic car that he built in Java, and he was able to do so because he knew Java well and he was willing to do that. So it's really a combination of a lot of things, and not just going by the trends, I would say blindly. So if a sensor has the JVM, and there are also other techniques where you talk about uh, the the environment that you get to work with. So if I'm writing for a sensor, when I convert that code, or when I pass on that code to the sensor would be able to convert that into the instructions which it needs. Then I could be using Java or any other language, but that pipeline could, the build system could take that language, the higher level language, and convert it to the instructions which are meant for the sensor. So in that case, I might not need even a virtual machine there. So that's the beauty of the toolings that I was talking about.
Okay. Okay. Finally, what do you think? Another 25 years at least? Or what is your estimate? I mean, for the foreseeable future, you think Java remains very strong? You would advise students to continue studying it?
Absolutely, because so when anyone who is working in their career, and Raj could confirm that we are not working with just one language, we are working with multiple language, and the transition could occur when we are moving to another project or another job. And Java is one language which you would see in a lot of projects in companies, the same company, other companies. So as I mentioned, if you are talking about owning, let's say, one or two vehicles, so Java could be one of the language that you should be learning, because sooner or later you'll have to work with it.
Raj, final words from you.
That is true, because I was again emphasizing that it is a JVM language. It is
Yes.
more than
The
a
platform.
Java, because
Yes.
Java is not there. Only JVM exists.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
it is only if you think that Java is not giving you something, you can go and use it in Groovy. If you see Groovy is not giving you something, go and use Scala. So polyglot programming, if you see in Java, you will get everything here, because
Hmm.
everything compiles to the bytecode. So you can use anything you wanted. So I think Java is still will stay, because the enterprise needs them to a maximum, because you don't have that big language which can hold it. There are many languages used by the startups, but if you wanted to work in an enterprise level, then the main Java platform is the only thing. Whether you use Groovy, Scala, or in a cloud, or in whatever the technology you start using it, you will surely see Java in one way or other there. That is sure.
Okay. There are some more questions, but I think we shall stop it here. That's a good note to our if enterprises still use so much of Java that it'll be years before. I mean, Java is going to be unseated, I guess. So long as that is there, I mean, everybody who, I mean, and almost everybody will end up working in enterprises, I guess, at some point. So Java is something that you will need to know. Thanks so much from Shilpa and me. Thanks, and from the Times of India. Thanks so much, Mala. Thanks so much, Raj. Really good conversation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you,
inviting
Okay.
me.
All
Mala.
the
Thank
best.
you,
Thanks.
Raj.
Thanks, Sujit.
Thank you
It was
so
a
much.
pleasure talking about Java. Always a pleasure to talk about Java.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.